Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video. Today I wanted to talk about the low-cost vehicle that we're all expecting. And just as a reminder, I'll let you know what Lars Moravy recently talked about with this particular model and why we are looking forward to seeing this very soon.
Lars, anything more to add?
Yeah, I think I said this before in other calls, like, you know, with the recent upgrades to the Model 3 and the Model Y platforms, we made some pretty great cars at pretty great prices, and we added a bunch of features and things like that. I think it's easy to consider that, you know, moving forward, Tesla doesn't make bad cars, and we always make, you know, our intent is not to make a car that is any worse than any car we've ever produced in the past. And so, you know, the models that come out in the next months will be built on our lines and will resemble and form and shape the cars we currently make. And you know, but the key is that they'll be affordable and you'll be able to buy one.
So that's what Lars had to say about the new lower cost vehicle. And we also heard that it was going to be in production by the end of the first half of 2025. And if we look at the calendar, we are clearly into the third quarter, and we haven't really heard much more or seen anything here at Giga-Texas to indicate that that is coming. And there is some very interesting theories about why, and it has to do with the new big beautiful bill and the ending of the $7,500 rebate and some of the other EV incentives. And I'll let Alexander Mers, also known as Tesla Boomer Mama, explain her thoughts on this while she was recently on a Cyber Bulls episode with Herbert Ong.
And in the next 3 months to come, just to point this out again and again and again, is we will have a really good trimester of a really good quarter of sales, because in the US, the 7,500 EV credit is going to go away. So yes, that may play into Q4, but I have actually a good theory. This is the perfect quarter to sell as many Model 3s and Model Ys that you want, that you can produce. That's why there was actually higher production numbers in the delivery and production publication this week, because you have this period where people are sensitive to still want to take advantage of the 7,500. In that time, you ramp up the affordable product. You don't release it. You keep it undercover. I'm saying it again. Here comes my theory again for beginning of October. And then the quarter ends, the EV credit goes away, and whoops comes the new affordable credit. Oh, Herbert is nodding.
Yeah, I'm nodding now because, okay, of course, last rules, I didn't understand the logic. I said there's no way that they're delaying it, you know, not on purpose. But now it makes sense. Maybe they were delaying announcing the more affordable vehicles. Like they purposely decided, right, not to say it before the end of June, because they were waiting to see what happens with the big beautiful bill. Now that that's passed, which is right, now they know that this 7,500 EV credit is going to go away. They want to keep selling the Model 3s, Model Ys as much as possible next quarter. Therefore, don't announce the more affordable vehicles till October that you were saying. But come on, that was pretty brilliant on your part. And
so that's the theory, and it does have a lot of sense as far as what Tesla may be doing with the changing political environment and what's going on with the EV incentives. Now, we don't know if that is true or not, but I'll be watching here at the factory over the next weeks and months to see if that holds water, or if maybe we see different evidence here on the site. There's also the upcoming second quarter financial results meeting. It's going to be held here at Giga-Texas on the 23rd of July, and I suspect that we're going to hear some more questions about that during that meeting, and maybe we'll get some more clarity by the time we get to that particular meeting. So anyway, that's what is kind of the thought process with the new lower cost vehicle. So in the interim, let's get the drone in the air and let's fly around and see what Giga-Texas looks like here today. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are considering purchasing Starlink, I would recommend that you use my referral link at the bottom of the screen. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas.
Good morning from the west side of the highway, looking back at the main factory. Some clouds still in the sky, but really no rains, which is a great improvement of what we had over the last, I don't know, 5 to 6 days. Here on the west side, we just took a look at the West Warehouse on Wheels, and here at this material staging yard, you see many trucks lined up doing some more deliveries today. You can see some of the doors being opened up on the bottom right of the screen, and in the middle of the screen, we can see that 2 of those brown wrapped items that are being kind of put onto these platforms or these heavy lift trailers and moved over here for temporary staging. You can see in the upper right where they are coming from. Looks like they are getting them ready for transport, most likely over to the factory. But as far as where that's going to go, it's still something that I will need to monitor. And hopefully we will see on my next video where some of these are headed. That'll give us a really good idea of what their purpose is. In addition to that, we can tell that there are some trucks standing by near where the transformers are located in this very large white tent-like structure. And as we go past it, more materials have been delivered and are being stored here, some of them on these trailers temporarily. And of course, this is around this section that has this fenced off area on the left-hand side of the screen, and a lot of materials near this smaller white tent. And as I maneuver around, this gives you a good idea of what all of this looks like. There is some active movement of some of the materials kind of in the middle of the screen, as you can tell, and it's most likely a delivery that just recently took place. But anyway, I'm not sure what this material is, but it's worth watching. And hopefully, along with those very large brown wrapped items, we'll get an idea of where all of this is headed very soon. On the kind of left-hand side of the screen, we see more deliveries getting ready to be made, including some steel items, along with those green wrapped items on that first truck. And of course, there's more items near where those transformers are located. As I bring the drone up, we're still looking back to the east. We'll go over the power lines to this other material staging yard where we see some of the workshops at the bottom left of the screen, some superchargers at the bottom of the screen, plenty of materials for building and construction, plus also some pipe segments. And then as we move over here, some of the production equipment that is in this yard, still waiting for movement over to the factory. And of course, here is that large crane moving those brown wrapped items again onto those trailers we saw at the top of the screen on the other side of the power lines. This is a great shot of some of the activity as they get ready to move even more. And as I will try to get you a zoom in here closer, just to get an idea of the workers. And this gives you a sense of that scale of how large these items are. Of course, on the crane, we see those counterweights all stacked up, and that gives you another sense of the weight that some of these larger items have, and why those trailers that they're putting them on are such heavy lift ones. So I'll continue to kind of maneuver around here. We'll see some other parts of this material staging site, and one of the things that I want to point out as we continue to move towards the north is around where the transformers are located. We see a lot of trucks lined up again, and I don't know if this is just a temporary staging location for the trucks, if they're related to the transformers, because we have seen transformers delivered in trucks like this in the past, or if it's just some other materials that they're getting ready to unload. But anyway, it's a good number of trucks here next to the transformers, and of course, looking back to the main factory across the outbound lot gives you a great sense of where we are located. Of course, production is ramping back up after that long pause last week. We are seeing Model Ys and Cybertrucks. There are some that are being distributed here for the trucks to pick up. And this is a almost ground level view showing you what it would look like if you were driving through the outbound lot, looking towards that end of line facility. Of course, the flags next to the main entrance. This is where they have some of those transport trucks waiting for their turn to be able to pick up vehicles. And it looks like there's many drivers kind of in a meeting getting ready for the day's activity. One of the other things that I do want to show you before all of the vehicles on the left-hand side of the screen is this continued trenching operations with those concrete manhole covers, the trench boxes, more work that's going on inside, and it looks like it's getting closer to being wrapped up. Now on the north end, we see many of the Model Ys all lined up here on this part of the site. We even see some moving. Those are getting ready to go over for the area where the trucks are for transport off-site. In addition to that, we do also see a lot of Cybertrucks. So this tells us that both the Model Y line is back up and running with those upgrades, and the Cybertrucks are also, sometimes when they do those upgrades, they divert people from one line to the other, in this case the Cybertruck to the Model Y line, but that seems to be completed, at least for right now. And more of the Model Ys around this fence on the north side, those are getting ready to head over to either the end of line facility or just lined up here waiting for some additional processing before they go for transport. But this is a great shot across the north end of the outbound lot of all of the vehicles that are here right now. And of course, more are being produced throughout the day, and they'll be processed through the end of line, and then we'll probably see them either here or over where the transport trucks are located. The semi-truck is not here again. The Mega Charger is not being used. We do see the test track being used on the west side of the end of line. A Cybertruck looks like it's getting some washing right now here next to that very large tank. And the lanes on the left are showing more Model Ys and a Cybertruck autonomously driving over here from the factory. So everything seems to be working pretty well right now. And with the intro discussion that we had, this may explain why we're going to be seeing a lot of Model Ys over the next few months as they prepare for the changes coming at the end of the third quarter. On the other side of the highway, we'll resume here near the flagpoles. We see all of that trench work and additional work for pipes and the installation of some conduit here along this berm. And unlike my previous video where it was so muddy they had all of these vehicles stored and parked, now everything is dried up enough so that they are able to continue their work. While I am here, I wanted to kind of just show you what is going on near this temporary platform or semi-permanent platform and that large doorway on the third floor. It looks like the crane had just recently put some materials up on that platform for me moved in, and we see some of the broken down crates on the ground. As we fly to the south, one of the things I wanted to get a good sense of is how the rates are for the Model Ys coming out of the end of exit point of the factory. This is where that is with that ramp. We can see the work nearby the ramp continuing for the receiving door load leveler system, and it looks like that work is nearing completed. While this is happening, we see another Model Y driving autonomously out of the factory and getting ready to go over to the west outbound lot, or at least the end of line facility. This is also the same ramp and the same exit that customer autonomously delivered vehicle started its path and drove all the way through Austin for that delivery. So it's really great to see the production ramped back up and vehicles exiting once again. Here's another look at the berm work, more trench boxes, some more excavation that is underway. And this is extending a little bit farther to the south now, and that will eventually join up with work that is already underway on the south, proceeding to the north. So let's follow this along and take a look at how this looks today. Back, take a look at the main factory from this southwest corner and over the cyber pond. I'll bring the drone down, get a nice look at the fork in the road statue, how it looks right now. Most of the grass is growing around it, so we haven't seen any of the concrete work around there that I was kind of expecting earlier in the year, and also the conduit that was put underneath there does not seem to be providing any additional lighting or features right now. This is the look closer in at the south part of the factory, and we can see that continued work around each of the 3 exit tunnels on those kind of excavated sections on either side of the tunnel, going all the way up to the glass. Some of that gray gravel has been moved away, and this is how this last tunnel looks as we get closer to the southeast corner. Here's a nice quick look back towards the west side, how this all is looking today. And as we continue to maneuver back, this is a nice look at that southeast angled corner. And it looks like all of the glass had been cleaned, and the trim work that they were doing over the last couple of weeks is apparently completed as well. As we get closer to the cooling plant, it is notable that all 6 fans are being used again today, and we'll see that as I bring the drone up to a higher altitude. Otherwise, there's not a lot of work being done at that cooling plant today that I can tell. And here is that temporary platform. And again, we're still waiting for some material to be brought here for lifting up. And also that Model Y, the blue one, appeared to have Robotaxi emblem on the side. And if that's the case, that would be kind of neat, because we haven't seen a blue one with Robotaxi marks yet. But anyway, I'll bring the drone up higher. We'll see those 6 fans in operation today, as I had mentioned. On the north end, where you see those white and orange dividers, that's where the trench work had been done. Most of that seems to be filled back in now. So that would imply that the work that they're doing here is nearly completed. They do have some metal, I think, covering over an open part of the trench where the vehicles are driving over. So it'll be something I'll watch and see how that continues to change. Here's a good look along the east side of the stamping machine structure, down at some of the recycling operations that are going on and some other material deliveries. Crossing over the power lines, just another look at these pipe segments and the steel corrugated pipe for the underground water management system and how that is being stored here today. It looks like there's also some concrete segments as well. I'm going to fly along this east side, looking at all of the temporary platforms on various different floors along this east side. And all of that is to allow for more equipment to be brought in for the work that's being done on the inside, again, to expand some of the production capability of this part of the factory. Looking back towards the east, we can see the trailers here at the bottom of the screen for some of the contractors, and also the material staging here with some of those pipe segments that have been fabricated over on the east side. And that is related to some additional work with transferring some of the heat that's generated on the south end. And the 2024 impact report had more details on that, and I will cover that a little more in depth on a future video. But while we're here, I wanted to show you the old testing and calibration lot, the helicopter pad, the Rainmaker with the orange doors on the left, which was used for water ingression testing before it was moved over to the west end of line facility. And then here shows the wind tunnel with what looks to be some provisions for operations. The green trailer is a portable generator to provide power. We see the ramp with some kind of silver squares over that that floor that kind of rotates so it can give different angles for the cars. So it is interesting that that is showing some work right now. As we get closer to the factory again, there's that tent next to the superchargers. No real changes that I can visually see from the drone. We do see some big deliveries being made from this truck, and also deliveries being put onto that temporary platform with that crane. It's going to be wheeled onto the inside. I'll zoom in so we can get a little bit of a view of what that looks like. Also, the trash chute has been installed. We pointed that out on my previous video, but now the bin is placed so that they can easily dispose of some of the trash from this floor, that temporary platform, down to the ground level for it to be moved away. So that is great to see some more activity through this part of the factory. And that happens to be right above where the body and white robots are located on the ground floor. And I suspect a lot are being added on that second floor. As we go past these transmission towers for the power lines, we see a lot of the casting still. Some interesting activity here around the east side. I'll zoom in here and show you that there's a crate that has IDRA on it. And IDRA is the manufacturer of the Giga-presses. And that is right inside this part of the factory. So to see a crate being unloaded with some parts is kind of interesting. It may be spare parts or replacement parts to do maintenance on the Giga-presses. But nonetheless, it's kind of neat to see the IDRA name, which is so kind of famous and important for what's going on here behind the walls. As we pass the baghouse filtration plant, which is looking very close to being fully operational, we can see the melt furnace plant at a lot of activity. And near there, I will zoom in here, we see that Cybertruck body that used to be stored on the north side of paint for several months. It did not look like it was moving for a very long time. And for whatever reason now, it has been moved over here. It's possible that some of the materials near it are also being recycled, and I'll bring the drone down lower with a better zoom in so you can get a sense of what this all looks like. And if you can identify some of the other parts in there, maybe that will help figure out what they are recycling and why this is being done right now. But with this zoom, we can get a good view inside underneath that cover of some of that work that's being done. And of course, that bulk aluminum and aluminum wheel recycling that is being done to use in that furnaces to provide some more of the aluminum material, and then they'll make the alloys that they need for the castings, all right underneath the roof here of the casting machine and furnace section of Giga-Texas. There is another delivery going on near that northeast corner as we continue to fly up to the handling lot for many of the castings. We can see the bumper stands on the right, a lot of the empty racks waiting for more castings, all stored here on this lot. And as I turn back, we see some of the stands that have Cybertruck castings here on this part of the northeast corner. Now, next to the window line on the left, where you see those white bins, is where the Cybertruck body used to be. And now it's, of course, moved over to that east side, most likely for recycling, is my opinion. As we also look at these stands, these are bumper stands for paint, also some other body parts. There is an interesting thing that I did notice. If you look with the arrow, these are the older style bumpers. And then right next to them are the newer style bumpers, all for Model Ys. And this is a relatively recent addition here. They've always been the new Model Ys until now. So why we're seeing some of the older Model Y paint stands for the bumpers is a little bit of a mystery. I'd be curious what you think, and so let me know in the comments of the video. More deliveries here at the plastics section. You can see those wooden crates. And of course, there is some more deliveries here, specifically on this large bed of that truck, and it looks like some white production equipment. It's possible that that came from that west side material staging yard with all the other materials near those brown wrapped items that were being picked up by the crane. I also wanted to show you that there is work being done here on this berm, specifically the cyber berm. There is some concrete repair that is underway. You can tell with some of the gray newly put on material. And they're also doing some pressure washing to clean off the white stain. This is a great view of the work that is underway. There's also a segment of the cyber berms kind of up to the top left of the picture. You'll see that it's gray rather than white. That was never completed, and I think they were just waiting for this work to commence before they finish up that. So we should have, when all of this work's done, the cyber berm completed and fully stained to the white to match the factory. So we'll fly around here and we'll take a look up to the north at the Megapacks and the electrical switch yard. Here quickly to look at the original Megapack installation. There is still some equipment that is stored on the south side by the perimeter fence, but otherwise it looks like it's just operational with very little required maintenance or operational support with people right now. A nice look over at the Megapack 2 on the upper right. Some of the earthwork that's being done in preparation for the expansion of the electrical switch yard. Of course, Cortex-2, the die shop and battery cathode plant at the top of the screen. And coming into view at the bottom left is the mobile batch plant. And it's served by that new roadway that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. This is where all of the concrete manufacturing part of the site has been moved to. It was originally a temporary batch plant, but it's been made into a semi-permanent one, and it replaced that old Martin Marietta one where the Cortex-2 building is being constructed. On this side that we see, as I pull away more, that's some more of where landscaping materials and some of the plants are located until that work is needed around this site. This dirt pathway leads from the construction site in the top part of the screen all the way up to that large field, which we talked about at length on my previous video. A nice view across this entire construction zone. Of course, the cathode plant on the left, you can see that Quonset hut on the left of the cathode plant. That's the crash test facility, the die shop on the left-hand side of the screen, and of course now the Cortex-2, where a lot of the work is being done on those exterior walls. And I'll give you some detailed looks here momentarily. The one thing I want to show you is this expansion of the site by moving the silt fence farther over to the trees. They've removed more of the trees and vegetation here, and you can tell the work that is underway. Now, I don't know if this is for additional drainage, if they're going to be preparing the grade for construction. It's hard to tell for sure, but it will be definitely something I will keep an eye on. And as I continue to maneuver around, we can tell that that water detention pond is still quite full from all the rains. But otherwise, the drainage here has been exceptional, especially compared to what we've seen over the last few years. I'm going to get down lower and fly along the west side of Cortex-2, and we'll get a kind of an update of what the exterior wall construction process looks like. Of course, the steel studs on the left with the parapet wall extending above the roof, the blue panels are installed. Then we see the seam sealer, which is kind of this teal color material. Around that, we can see openings for drains from the roof, lighting perhaps, and also doors. Also, it looks like maybe some big receiving doors. And then here we see that gray texturized material being added on. That's sort of the final surface material look. And when it cures enough, they'll start putting on the white stain. And we can kind of see that whole process along this part of the wall. And on the right-hand side is what that final look, appears like, and it makes it look like they have those concrete panels that blends in with the way Giga-Texas itself was constructed, although it was a completely different technique. I'm going to bring the drone up over onto the roof and show you the other side of the parapet wall, where it appears that crews are working to prepare the interface between the roof and that wall so that they can put the weatherproof membrane on and then ultimately have a sealed roof section. The parapet wall just helps give the overall building that squared off look, and it hides the slope of the roofing. And as I bring the drone down a little more, we see another Cybertruck doing some supervision of the work here on the south end. This is where we can see more of the earthwork along the east side of the Megapack 2, and that darker material where it has a lot of stakes in the ground. So I'm expecting some sort of construction through there. This is a nice view of the expansion graded area for the switchyard. And it does look like they are starting to prepare the surface, at least here, with these linear marks along this side. And hopefully this will give us some indication of when they're going to begin working on that actual extension. Now on the south end, they are working at the underground concrete vault. And you'll see those trailers on the upper right of the screen. Underneath those trailers is a very similar vault of the same size and depth. And it had a very similar construction technique to what we're seeing here. Of course, the ground slab is done. We've got the rebar for the walls. The forms are being added in here on this side. Of course, this is a great view with the workers for scale. And as they continue to put all of the forms in, they will get to a point where they'll be able to pour concrete, and it will make that vault-like structure. They'll also be building a roof out of concrete, and we'll see that with all the shoring here probably in the next week or two. And then on top of that will be those trailers like you see at the bottom of the top of the screen here. So that is what is going on here. You can see those stakes I mentioned in the ground and the darker material. And this is just a chance to take a look at the Megapack 2. There is some additional work being done by the crews with the cabling, and you'll see that kind of in the middle of the screen coming into view. There's some tents where they are doing most of that work, and you'll see some of the cabinetry open. And some of the other Megapacks also have the cabinetry open, as it looks like they're getting closer to the point where these may be able to be commissioned. Still more steps to be done, but it's definitely making progress. These are the temporary trailers for Tesla's temporary offices, everything from new hires, welcome center, security, and of course the new trailers that are going to take the place of those older ones to allow more of that construction to begin. Here's a nice view of where these trailers are, plus how busy the parking lots are. And again, this is about half of what we normally see, but I think that maybe many of the employees are taking advantage of the multi-level parking garage you see at the top of the screen. There are workers here at these trailers, most likely doing the final preparation work before they can move the operations to these trailers. And there's more of the trench work next to Robotic Avenue for some of the electrical conduit. Concrete vault segments here waiting for their time to be put into the construction zone around Cortex 2. And as we come in a little closer, this gives you just an overall view of the south end, the work that's being done on the walls. Some of it has already had that final white staining, and then all along the east side, the work is progressing with many openings, much more so than we saw on the other side, as are starting to become apparent here through where the wall panels are being installed. And I'm going to just continue here past the keystone section with more of the forms that are used for concrete. Work is continuing on the exterior walls here with this new stair that kind of comes up. It reaches over the parapet wall and then onto the roof, and this will help with the workers that will be busy here very soon installing the insulation and that weatherproof membrane. So that is getting set up for that next big part of the construction. At the north end of the die shop, we see more of the materials being stored, waiting for movement inside. And I did notice that the cooling plant for the cathode plant has got vapors on the vaporizers, that condensation. So they are definitely in operation here today. And I couldn't get quite high enough, but all four of the fans were working. And as I pan back to the north, it shows where a lot of the employee parking is located. And this fenced off section is just another area with materials, some of which was materials brought in to facilitate the manufacturing of the cathodes. And that has all been moved inside. But what we see here is just remaining items that will probably be installed later on. And we also see some of these large concrete wall panels that will be placed back onto the cathode plant once more of the equipment deliveries and movement inside is completed. The far northeast side of the cathode plant shows this dirt section. Much of the concrete that was here has been broken up and recycled, so there's not a lot anymore. We see that dirt work area onto that north, and then those two fields, which we covered in depth on my previous video. Looks like a Cybertruck is headed back to the south along the dirt road. And again, a nice view back towards the main factory across all of these complex structures. Possibly because of all the rains, but it looks like the wade pit is quite full today. That's that linear pit with the greenish water in it. You see the test track on the left-hand side of the screen. And of course, coming into view is the crash test facility. I'm going to zoom in here so we get a better view of what is going on. We see many vehicles that have been crash tested on the right-hand side of the screen, others lined up that may be getting ready for crash testing. We see this sort of metal structure on the north entry of the building. It's kind of 2 layers and gray. I'm not sure exactly what that is for. And then here we see a couple of cars getting ready for testing, one of which has got covers on it and maybe some reflective material. I'll zoom in a little bit more and we'll fly in closer so you can get a good view of that. You can also compare with the Model Y nearby. I'm not sure exactly what this is for or why they would have this particular one covered. But I'll let me know your ideas in the comment section of the video. It is just another difference that I happen to notice, and I will point it out for you here. As we get to the south end, we look inside. There is a gray Model Y that looks like it is either undergoing crash testing or preparing for crash testing. And you see the crash test wall on the right-hand side of the screen. And I'll zoom back out so we get a good overall view of what this south end appears like. And as I pull away and pan up, you'll see more of those vehicles along that fence line on the left of the screen. So that'll bring it to an end today, the video discussion about the lower cost vehicles and why we're not seeing that yet. And we'll have to test that theory with what we see on the ground and maybe information we learn on the 23rd financial report meeting that will be held here at Giga-Texas. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of the week.